Volatile time for the semis lately. The group down for the year. Names like NVIDIA falling double digits. Joining us now with reaction, Cantor Fitzgerald analyst CJ Muse. Would you be looking to buy here some of these beaten down names, CJ?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. I'd say absolutely. I think that we've kind of had a perfect storm here where, the market is worried about kind of a slowing GDP, uncertainty around tariffs, and then bottoms up from an NVIDIA perspective. Their guide relative to the buy side was only in line. So, you could take a few knocks on it, but if you take a step back, AI will continue to be a robust theme. And now NVIDIA trading 16 times next year's earnings. I think it's, too cheap to ignore, and I think it's time to be greedy.
What about what the president said about chips last night in his speech before Congress, saying that he's not a fan of the CHIPS Act and he wants to get rid of it? What happens to the beneficiaries and the remaining money? Yeah,
a great question. I'd say I think there's some nuance to it. Number one, I think the previous administration getting TSMC to build 100,000 wafer starts in the United States was an amazing thing. So I give them kudos for that. I do think that from President Trump's perspective, the view is that you can use tariffs and other means to get investments, further investments in the U.S. And I would say very, very importantly, the 25% ITC tax credit is what got TSMC to the United States. It's what will get others to invest here. So, I think that he's talking about less subsidies, less DEI kind of requirements for investments, but still very focused on bringing the semiconductor industry to the United States. So I think bringing this industry to the U.S. is a common goal. But how you achieve that, I think, is where you're seeing, the differences in strategy.
Right. So is it happening? And what's the time frame?
So, TSMC in the last few days announced an additional 100,000 wafer starts. And to give the audience some context, Apple uses about 60,000 wafer starts a month. So having 200,000 over the next 3+ years is a great kind of footprint for leading edge manufacturing in the U.S. But we do need more. I'd say the big question are the implications to Intel and how we further subsidize their efforts. We do want an indigenous leading edge manufacturer here. And so I think it's incumbent upon the United States to help them. But I suspect that the administration's view is more of getting fabless players like Qualcomm, Broadcom, NVIDIA to perhaps help support Intel as opposed to government subsidies.
Got it. CJ, thank you. Keep it quick, but good to get your take and your buy call on NVIDIA there. CJ Muse from Cantor.